Greetings everyone, welcome aboard. My name is Joseph James. It's February 3rd, 2011. Happy Thursday to you guys. Had a great day in the live trade room this morning. A little bit of challenge in the morning early on, but we made it through it. Let's talk about it today. Now, Thursday morning means jobless claims. Jobless claims, 8:30 this morning. Now, normally those jobless claims will give us a bunch of activity because normally they come out higher or lower than expected. Well, this morning, jobless claims came out pretty much right on target. So we didn't get a lot of movement from the market at 8:30. We did, however, though, get a chance to sell the highs on gold, right? We had gold at the top of a sideways range. And of course, at the top of the sideways range, I'm always looking to sell, right, the top of the range. So we're going to sell resistance, right, sell the highs. So I sold the highs, right, two-step pattern short, got into a wave pattern, right, to then buy at support, took a loss in the first trade, but then jumped right back in, right, took two back-to-back trades. One was a loss, got back in for a winner. So we took a loss for our second trade of the day on gold, but then made it right back because we simply waited a couple more minutes. Momentum confirmed for us, better speed, better buyers, and we got back in for the winner. So gold was a pretty active market today. We were back and forth on gold, long and short, long and short. If you guys are watching the price action today, it was a pretty choppy market for most of the morning this morning. So gold did pretty well. Did pretty well on gold today. How about crude though? Now, crude was a good situation where we began way up at the highs at 8 o'clock. And by 9 o'clock, we had chopped our way down to the lows. And at 9 o'clock, I was able to buy those lows. Bought the lows on crude. And then that was at 9 o'clock. That was the big transition. That was when crude started going back to the highs. We then put more on by buying a pullback. So we began on crude all the way at the highs here. By 9 o'clock, we were at the lows. Bought the lows on crude with a two-step reversal pattern. And then added to that position, right, by buying a pullback off those lows. All right, guys? Nice, easy trading on crude today. We took a loss on crude today. We took a loss on gold today. We'll take a look at those for you guys in a second. A lot of scratches today, though. A lot of scratches. A lot of +5, -5s, +5, +10, and then -5. We had a hard time seeing this market really kind of revving the engine this morning. I'm sure a lot of it had to do with the fact we have non-farm payrolls tomorrow, right? Non-farm payrolls tomorrow on Friday morning. And of course, we had Ben Bernanke speaking this afternoon at 12:30. So once the end of the morning started showing up, we started seeing a lot less of these big moves in the market. Now, the big thing today was the fast track. Now, this was great because we did a special training yesterday with our members. We did a members training on Wednesday, and we talked all about trade management and the fast track method. And one of the things we talked about was exactly where to get in, where to get out, how to execute it, right? Trade management, very simple. Patterns, very simple. The fast track method, we had members this morning that went 6 for 8, right? 7 for 10. Guys, that's a really good day. One contract is all you need to get started with the fast track. The fast track, guys, is a streamlined way to get you up and running. Then from there, we'll then grow your account. We'll throw in some more advanced strategies. But the fast track method is going to make you learn a lot about you as a trader, and it will also show you more about the markets. All right? It's intended to help you grow into what will be your long-term trading career. The fast track method was great today, right? Keep it simple. Take your money and run, right? Great job out there for the members out there today, guys, on the fast track. So it was a great Thursday. Now, as you can see here, though, right, we didn't quite get the easy winners like we did earlier this week. Okay, as you can see here, we had to work for this money today. We did pretty well though, 286 ticks. As you guys can see, we continue to make a very good income here in the room. Only 4 contracts needed. You can see 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 trades. Now, again, this is a great example. Look at the third and final target. What do you see here? I see 104 ticks of profit on the third and final target. That is a lot less, right, than half of your 286 ticks. So we make 286 ticks today, but we made, of course, less than half of that on the final target. What does that tell me? That tells me either A, we didn't place that target properly, or B, the market just wouldn't get going for us. And it wasn't that we didn't place the targets properly. It was just today, ahead of the news tomorrow, we did not see those big explosive moves, right? Sideways most of the morning, so we bought the lows, sold the highs, avoided the middle. All right, guys, 286 for today, guys, 2860. As you can see, 2 losses there, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 scratches. So 4 out of these 16 trades, +5, -5, right, and a scratch. So a couple losses. We also have a couple of really big winners here too, though, and we'll show you guys everything here in a little bit. So here's my dollar index. Dollar is where I begin every day. Now, why do I begin in the dollar? Because the dollar is my correlated market. So everything revolves around the dollar. right? I always joke by saying the dollar is like my wife, right? If my wife's having a great day, so am I, right? If my wife's not having a good day, well, I think you guys know the answer to that, right? So if the dollar's having a good day, so are we. Now, of course, this morning here, what do we see? We saw our dollar chopping around. Again, this looks pretty familiar, right? We had that wedge pattern from last week. We dropped below the wedge, and we're still trading sideways here. Now, we have to assume on a Thursday, ahead of the non-farm payrolls, we have to assume, guys, that the non-farm payrolls are the reason why this dollar is still going sideways here. All right, guys? So once those non-farm payrolls come out, it'll be interesting to see tomorrow what happens, right? Obviously here, sideways dollar meant we had to be careful today. Okay, now what we see on ATR, ATR was horrible. ATR, we had lower lows on the ATR. The speed actually did look pretty good though this morning, 8 o'clock. So we had pretty good speed. The ATR was, we were seeing lower lows in ATR and sideways dollar. This all told us we got to be patient. And we did, right? We were patient. We were patient until after 8:30. After 8:30, jobless claims came out. We sold the highs, bought the lows. Let's take a look here. So dollar originally, guys, dollar gave me, originally the dollar says, be careful out there. You might have to wait a little bit this morning because we didn't have very good ATR and we didn't have much speed and the dollar was very sideways. Now here's my crude oil here, right? Here's my crude. Now, one thing we noticed in the crude was these trend lines, right? Price channel, right? Price channel. Now, once we got into the room this morning, what we did was we cleared all this off. We got rid of all these trend lines. And this is a great exercise because it's always a good idea, guys. If you come into the room or you open up your charts and there are too many trend lines, right? Sometimes it's good to clear them all off and redo them. So we cleared them all off. We cleared them all off and we identified a trend line here and a trend line here, right? So what do we call that? We call that a wedge. Now, originally what happened was we were at the top of the wedge. So top of the wedge up top here, right? Here's the bottom of the wedge. And the bottom of the wedge is right at the 90s here. So what happens is, originally cruised the highs, we finally tumbled down here around 9 o'clock and we bought here at 90s. So we bought this low support. Now you can also see this is also a sideways range. So we had two things to worry about, or two things to use here. Now again, this would be your major range, right? That'll be your major range, but at the same time, I'm more worried about what's my minor range. All right, what's my most recent range? And so you can see here we are at the highs of that range. We're going to come down at 9 o'clock. We're going to test 90. I'll use a two-step pattern long, and we're going to buy these lows. I'll then, once we rise off these lows, I'll then buy a pullback, right? Buy a pullback with a wave pattern. All right, guys, let's take a look. Let's take a look here. So again, we cleaned all these trend lines off this morning. We started right over from scratch, and it was the best decision we made all day because it really kind of cleared our heads, got us ready to look at the price action again. And again, we defined this sideways range. This was the most important part. Okay, forget about all the trend lines, forget about all the bells and whistles, right? Just look at what is my high and what's my low, right? Find my high and find my low. All right, now with that high and with that low, I then can plan my trades today. So you can see here, guys, our first trade on crude. Now this is my 13 range chart. We took a number of trades on crude today. Here's the trades that showed up in the 13 range chart.